Gamers, I've got some good news if you like Navia. All right? The early math, the theory crafters are saying she looks fine, she looks mid, but honestly, I think she is pretty darn good. Because numbers can say one thing, but playing a character can be completely different. Klee is a great example. The numbers say she should hit hard, but I think that Klee is clunky, doesn't feel good. There are certain units that don't feel good to play, but with Navia, I think she's very easy to play. I think she's very easy to min-max and get a ton of value out of her. And I think that overall, because of this, she's easy to build. And for all those people out there that were like, I don't care, I just want a really hot character, I just love her, I like her, I'm getting her. Well, now you're blessed with also an arguably pretty strong character. Now, I'm not going to say she's the absolute god tier unit like someone like Neuvillette, and I'm not going to say she's as good as some of the god tier supports like the Nahidas, Yelan, Raiden Shogun. So depending on where your account is, you might not want to get her yet. But for most people that are endgame players, there's no reason that she won't perform in your team. And because she is an attack scaling unit, hypothetically, there's a few different sets that you might have some good pieces on to get her up and running without having to, farm this new set. The new set is pretty cool. It gives you that elemental skill damage and the geo damage bonus or whatever. The geo damage bonus after using your elemental skill. But there's also other stuff you could do. There's also other sets that you could use that would be pretty darn strong as well. This is kind of misleading. It's not that great. So, up and running, easy to keep functioning, and tons of team comps. Navia, for me, the quick and dirty is, I think she's pretty good. If you want her, you can pull her, and honestly, if you can't clear content, that's a you issue, all right? Even in this thingy here, she can do like 100,000 damage, like pretty darn easy, all right? You go like this, you run into these things, you charge your thing, and you just... I didn't crit and I still did 42,000. But you know what I'm saying? I could just hit... Okay, that was only 34,000. I haven't buffed her. Navia, in this playtest, you can do like 150,000 damage. I think it's 137,000 damage or something like that. And she's not even maxed out. Okay? Her artifacts, probably not as good as you can get her. Navia seems pretty good with arguably a bad team. I would not be putting this team together for Navia. There's quite a few units that work with her. Let's chat about what she does, how you would build her, and make this function. So, number one, let's start with the E ability. The Crystal Shot is very important because when you pick up any of the Geo Shards, you're going to gain those bullets or those stacks, and that's going to let you unleash a bunch of damage. The more bullets you have, the more damage you do, and you want to hit multiple targets with it because you're going to hit even harder. If you hit all the shots on a target, it's also going to give you a spike of 200% of the original amount of damage dealt. That's crazy. That's juicy. That's fantastic. But it will also increase the damage dealt by the Gumbrella attacks by 15%. So if you're not using the 3 stacks and then spamming out more Crystal Shards and doing it again, you're kind of throwing. You want to have, see those stacks on the left? You want to have all 3, and then you want to have your cooldown. And what you're going to do is you're going to try to rotate through your team, buff her up, and do something kind of like this, okay? So get things running, right? We got some shards going. And then maybe you want to use that thing. Maybe I want to use my ultimate, get some shards going. Maybe we got the Shangling, right? Maybe I want to just pop some other stuff here. This is a bad team, but I could use this thing right now. Boom. Popping off. I can technically use it again. 95,000 damage, baby! She's pretty cool. Once you start getting things moving, once you start getting her rotating through everything, with someone like Bennett to heal you, Xingqiu, you could use Zhongli, you could use Fiorina, you could use Fischl, you could use tons of different units. I think she's got so much potential, because as long as you're applying elements, she can do enough of her Geo to get shards. But I haven't even shown you one of the other main things. So the Crystal Shot hits really hard. But here's the other beautiful thing, is when you use the Crystal Shot, you also infuse with geo damage. So the optimal thing for you to do is you want to use those crystal shots, but you don't want to spam it back to back necessarily, because you can do stuff like this. All right. So I get this damage going, I get the crystal shot, and then now I can generate shards using Shangling. I can stack things back up. I can use my ultimate, and you can kind of always have, for the most part, if you have enough elemental application, max bullets. So when you do decide to pop off and use her, you can hit 153,000 damage. Right? So that's pretty cool. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that a lot of people can throw Navia on their account and have her function pretty darn good. Because if you look at this, for each Pyro, Electro, Cryo, or Hydro, you gain 20% attack and can stack up to 2 times. Xingqiu, Yelan, Fiorina, like Bennett. There's a lot of 4-star units that are going to work here. There's the officials. There's 500 teams you can make with her that will work. As long as you have like shield breaking capabilities for certain abyss floors, you can clear any content in the game with her easily. You can always be boosting your crystal shot. You can always be getting 40% more attack damage. And because of all the attack that's coming from these passives, it's very easy to stack, geo damage on her, crit rate and crit damage, and have her absolutely pop off. And you can also use multiple different sets. You could use the new like crit set that with Fiorina. You could use that one. I don't know. I think that you don't have to go farm this new set. The new set is fine. It's definitely decent if you got the God roll. But realistically, I don't know. I guess when you're under the shield, you get 150% more. It's definitely good. It's definitely good. The geo damage is solid. But if you are running Fiorina, who gives you essentially elemental damage, the value of this goes down, and crit rate probably goes up. So it's going to depend on your team comps, but I think that she's super, super easy to build. As for constellations, I don't feel like you need them, and she's one of the first characters in a while that I don't feel like is unlocked by C1 or C2. It definitely makes things a little bit comfier, or you hit quite a bit harder, let's just be honest. But she is going to function very good at C0, which is exciting to me. One thing to note is she does have her weapon in this test run, and the weapon is quite a bit of damage to get. It gives you the attack percentage, but also it's giving you like 36% elemental skill damage. So that's a multiplier on that elemental skill, and that thing hits like a truck. And it's very easy to stack this thing up as well. So, she is an attack scaling unit, so you could use Wolf's Gravestone or any of those other ones. The Reed one also gives you some crits and everything. You don't need this, but it's definitely a good weapon for her. And the weapon banner is good if you definitely wanted to, double down on her. The other weapon, the Mist Splitter, is god tier as well. So it wouldn't be the worst banner to go on. But again, I always recommend characters over weapons any day of the week. Now, another cool thing you can do, which is actually really sweet, I haven't really shown this off, is you can actually suck in shards. And so for mobile players, I know that a lot of mobile players don't like playing certain units because they don't feel good. I think that Navia is pretty safe overall. It's very easy to pick up those shards just kind of running around. And as long as you're somewhat near the enemies, she will aim at them. Even if I'm aiming this way, she will typically turn around and attack them. And as long as I've got shards on the field, whatever way I decide to do them, you can always suck them up and just kind of hold this button and then nuke an enemy like that. If you've got shields and you're not getting knocked around, it's relatively safe. And you can just kind of stand in heals and kind of go like this, right? You can just kind of suck everything up, nuke it, pop your ultimate, get some more shards, hold it down, snipe the next one. It's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. I am impressed with Navia. I think that Navia is performing better than I expected. I think that she is safer than I expected. I think that she has more team comps than I expected because I try not to look at the leaks and I don't talk fully about the leaks. All I did was chat with a couple of theory crafters, see what their numbers were, see what their math was. I looked at the playstyle and I've always thought it was cool. It's just different. It just feels a little bit different. Someone said kind of like a D-Luke. I guess a little bit, right? You use a skill and you attack. Like, that's the thing is, I'm not even really using the normal attacks. I probably should use the normal attacks, but it feels like I don't even really need to. Like, she kind of functions as like a fast swap unit, where you've got a bunch of other units bringing in elemental damage, and as long as you have the shards, like, she just nukes them. Just nukes them. So that's pretty cool. I think that I am gonna skip. I personally don't want to grab her at this moment in time. But if you want her, I would say I do give her my stamp of approval currently. It's kind of a goofy character, not gonna lie. I don't know, that's pretty fun. And you have to remember, arguably not the best build, right? You could probably make a better build overall. So this is a pleasant surprise. It's kind of like Argenti. When I looked at Argenti, I was like, I don't know if I want Argenti. But then after playing him, I liked him. Now, for me, I really like Arataki Ito, and I like the Unga Bunga. I would say that she is... I don't know. I would say that she's probably comparable to this dude. She just scales differently, right? She's attack, he's defense. They use different artifact sets. If I was playing on this account, Albedo would be pretty cool to use with her and everything, but on my other account that doesn't have Albedo, that doesn't have any sort of Goro or anything like that, I think Goro's not a great choice, but I don't know. I think that my dream team comp would be with Furina thrown in, just for a ton of uptime of elemental application. I think that there's a world where you use like Furina, Xingqiu, Bennett, and then Navia, or Furina, Yelan, absolutely cracked. And if you were to do that, you would get some ease with like 200,000-300,000 damage, like 400,000 probably. It's like a shotgun mama getting boosted up by all these different damage sources. Like, she's actually going to obliterate people. So that's pretty sweet. There's not much more to say there overall. I think I talked about pretty much everything. The banner as a whole isn't amazing, but if you're in the end game, you probably don't care about the 4 stars that much. If I was recommending this for a new person playing the game, I would say, unless you have all the really top tier support god tier units, I would wait. Unless you have some of the god tier DPS units, I would wait. Even though she is good, I am of the firm believer a Primo Gem is a Primo Gem is a Primo Gem. Let me just turn down this for a second because they're all going to be talking. There are some core key units that stand out in this game, that stand out in the meta. Neuvillette has power corrupt a lot of DPS units. Just using him and building him, he is clearing content very easily. And so if you don't have someone like him, if you don't have Nahida, if you don't have Yelan, if you don't have, Raiden Shogun, if you don't have some of the top tier units, where's my boy Kazuha? It gets harder for me to recommend Navia. Because Navia good, but Navia is not a game changer. Navia is surprising and performing better than I expected, but I think that there's some key units that will carry your account further, faster, and in some cases are more fun. I love playing Yelan. She is zipping in and out. I really love playing her, but she also is amazing. I find Raiden Shogun really fun. I find Kazuha exceptionally fun. And so, if you care about big numbers, if you care about the meta, these are also some pretty fun characters too. So that is kind of my big recommendation overall. And again, if you are a new player, the 4 stars aren't amazing. So, it's going to depend where you are and where your account is at. If I was going to recommend Navia, she kind of feels like she's in like Linny tier, or like, I don't know, Yoimiya tier. Everyone says Yoimiya. Ayato tier? Maybe Ayato tier. Ayato is good and comfy and pretty easy to use, but like mathematically, Tartaglia clears content with his comps better. You know, Ayato is really good, but I have a god tier Ayato, and I think he's mathematically not quite as good, right? Um, I think Navia is just kind of like a good, not great overall. So that's where we're gonna end it. I don't have much more to say. I know I rambled a bit, but I'm just kind of thinking out loud here on my thoughts. I think Navia is better than Diluc. I think Navia is better than Klee. I think Navia is better than. People are gonna hate me. Navia? No, I shouldn't say that. If you have the proper comp, Ayaka's good. I just think Ayaka doesn't work everywhere. I think that Navia is better, maybe, than Wanderer. I don't know that, like, there's so many numbers, so much math, but, like, for me, I would rather have Navia than Wanderer on my account. For me, I think I would rather have Navia than Alhaitham, just playstyle-wise. Like, Alhaitham's kind of like Kachingi, but I don't know. I think Navia is actually, like, pretty damn good. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I think good? Don't cancel me? That's it? Goodbye?